Is typically described as 3 ways to do role-playing. There's the gamist, the simulationist, and the narrativist, dramatist, whatever. Gamist is, okay, we're playing a game here. It's all about, use the proper strategy or come up with an interesting tactic to typically kill something. Simulationist is, I don't care if it's an interesting game or whatever, I just want it to be realistic. I want to mess around in this realistic world. And then the narrativist thing is, I want to tell an interesting story. So Wushu is a very sort of narrativist thing. At least it can be used that way. And there's not a lot of simulation type things. There's really this narrativist. There's Dungeons and Dragons is more of a gamist, simulationist type thing, where you do something that's particularly difficult and you take like a -2, to your roll or something. You lose a couple points. It makes it harder because it would be harder to do, which makes it an odd tension for when. It would be really cool if you did something. I'm no expert at Dungeons and Dragons, but or role-playing in general. In fact, I haven't hardly played anything besides Dungeons and Dragons, and the Portals type system thing, which I'm going to describe here in a while. This is apparently going to be a long video, because I have hardly gotten into the subject matter yet. Anyway. So I'm not an expert on these things. But in the few times I have played, I've noticed flaws. Even in the big old granddaddy Dungeons & Dragons version 3.5 edition, in case you're wondering. I have not played the 4.0 edition, which has had some criticism leveled at it. Can't say I'm particularly knowledgeable in how it works, but apparently there's a thing called Pathfinder, which is like Dungeons & Dragons 3.6, and apparently it's great. I haven't played that either. But the flaws. Sometimes we find our characters be overpowered, for the situation, and we even skip over a chunk of the story. It's like, just get to the next point where we can do something useful, Sometimes people, sometimes they can get boring. It's weird. Okay, well, it comes out of these rules, I thought. I roll these dice, I have to do this math, and I have to do a thing, and keep track of all these. I was saying earlier with Wushu, that you had 5 traits. Dungeons and Dragons, you have 5 things to start out with, I guess. You have, strength, and dexterity, and charisma, and wisdom, and intelligence. Ooh, did I just name them all? Strength, dexterity, wisdom. No. That's just the basic thing, though. Then there's okay, what race are you? What age are you? What color of your eyes? And you should look up a great thing online called the Summoner Geeks. I'll put up a link. No, I don't. I have gray eyes. Let me see. Well, it says I have blue, but I decided I wanted gray eyes. Which is totally how Dungeons & Dragons works, half the time. It's always different for various people. And then you have, you have feats. What is a feat? It's not feat. It's special abilities, basically, that you can do. And then there's your various equipment, and then how much does that equipment cost, and how heavy is it? All this stuff, all this math. Other systems even have that worse. GURPS, I think, is the one which is you almost need no calculus, not literally, but GURPS is supposed to be you can do basically whatever, but you end up doing a lot of math to make it work. You'd be okay, I want an ability to have a fire, and the fire shoots off, the fire costs me 10 points or whatever to get that fire ability, and then I have to shoot it, I want to shoot it forward in a cone. Okay, so cone means I multiply by 1.5, so that's 15 points, and then I want it to go off 20 feet forward. 20 feet forward, we multiply by another 3.2, and that, blah, 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 until you invent your cone of fire thing. You take it forever to make it. Just making characters takes forever. Playing Dungeons & Dragons. There's a little program that I've had, it might be free, probably is, that helps walk you through, and that's cool. So there's a lot to it. And then you gotta get it print it out, or if you didn't print it, you gotta write everything down and keep track of it and so forth. I didn't like that. I never liked that. How about you just jump in? I thought, let's just jump into things. Wushu does that better. You have 5 traits. By the way, those 5 traits are not strength, dexterity, charisma, something. It's 5 whatever. 5 excellent swordsman, super rich, charming, keep your balance, and then you got one thing which is bad, which is lazy, something like that. Just whatever random 5 traits you want. Now that's interesting. Having having such just sort of freedom that way. Just whatever you think is important in this character, just write it. Sort of thing. Sort of thing is this thing. But flaws. A great thing you should read called DM of the Rings. This is Lord of the Rings. They took the movies and then they took screenshots and they made a comic out of it, which is, you know, hopefully they won't get sued. They don't deserve to be sued. Like that's fine by me, in terms of ethics anyway. But they made a webcomic, and it's all about people playing Lord of the Rings as a role-playing bit, as something like Dungeons and Dragons. And to them, they've never heard of Lord of the Rings. Like within their fictional world, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't know the story in advance, the players within this fictional webcomic. And it points out a lot of flaws, though. First off, the railroading GM thing. Railroading means when the GM has a specific plot he wants to happen, so he basically forces you to do that. Like, you know, they're supposed to get attacked when they make camp on the top of this hill. So the GM is like specifying, okay, so you're tired. Like, oh, well, maybe, you know, we should just keep going. Like, no, you're really tired. You should camp. Oh, well, maybe we'll just camp at the base of this hill here. No. You're just tired enough to get to the top of the hill, but too tired to get any further than that. That's a very specific level of tired, yes. But, you know, that's exactly how tired you are. Gee, guys, maybe we should camp on top of the hill. Which is a problem with systems. When you have a specific story, GMs, I don't think we should really go with the specific story that you want to happen. You've got to be flexible. It's the whole point of having a role-playing. If you have just a story to tell, just write a book, you know? Just do that. Sort of thing. Which leads me to another slightly related point of narrativist perspectives, and how we make the idea of, make an interesting story. How would we just make interesting stories? How would we just write it? Like, hi guys, I have an idea for a story. What do you think? Or just discuss stories. We don't need these rules. We don't need probably anything. Sort of deal. DM of the Rings, though, several flaws. Like, the grappling rules in Dungeons & Dragons are really hard to mess with. So, like, at one point I find this tentacle monster, and no one wants to, like, touch it because the grappling rules would require so much work, and then I'm, okay, this one tentacle grabs me, and I roll, and then this other tentacle, but then I grab its tentacle, and then you just don't want to bother. There's a point where they're first of all belly aching to have a big battle at some point, and then they finally get one, and then they don't even really like it. Because as one guy describes, okay, let me tell you what has happened here the last 30 rounds. A round is like a turn. It's supposed to last like 6 seconds. So you do like, sling your sword or something. That's your round. Anyway, let me tell you what's happened the last 30 rounds. I say, I want to kill an orc. And you say, okay, which orc? And then I say, the orc right in front of me. And then you say, okay, roll to see if you hit him. And then I roll. And then you say, oh, you hit him. And then you say, roll to see how much damage you did. And then I roll. And then you say, okay, you killed him. And that's the end of my turn. That's the end of the round. Every round for the last 30 rounds in a row. Like that does happen sometimes, and it's because we're stuck with these rules. We're stuck with, I guess, sort of simulationist type thing. Okay, well, you have to swing your sword at each individual guy that comes, so just keep swinging your sword. Like, why on earth do we bother? Like, this is with this entirely fictional context and stuff. We don't even have, like, any sort of physical presence or computer program, whatever, that we have to work with here. Like, we can make stuff up as much as we want. Shouldn't we have a system that's sort of adaptable to, like, if it's easy to kill off one orc, maybe I get to kill off several or something, or maybe I get to do something else? Things gotta match to, like, the level of difficulty sort of deal. And perhaps the more difficult it is, then, you'd go in and be more specific, spend more time on it in order to accomplish a difficulty. Instead of saying, I slice with the sword, and maybe if you're facing a difficult opponent, you'd say, okay, well then I dodge this way, and I move the blade that way according to style X, and I look into his eyes to distract him or something, because I do this, and I look this way, and I did this way, and but if it's about frictional costs. If you invest the time and energy to describe what you're doing in detail, to roll all the dice necessary, wow, it had better be worth it. And if all you do is you kill this freaking orc again and again and again and again and again, what the heck? Why are we doing that, right? Why? There are problems with the rules, aren't there? I dare say there are.